I am deeply passionate about discovery, about collaboration, and about breakthrough achievements. And admittedly, I'm a little bit humbled by the fact that through those three, through the technology innovation which NXP is driving with you, our customers and partners, we do jointly have a massive impact on some of the most pressing societal challenges of the planet. And with that, I guess you will agree with me that I'm truly excited to welcome you all today, here this morning in Silicon Valley, to our NXP Connects event 2019. Good morning. And I just got the last statistics, and as I just said, I can't see it given the light, but I understand this is the biggest ever event we've been doing here. Like 1,500 people with us, customers, partners, engineers from the Silicon Valley, across the US and across the globe. And we're going to be, hopefully, and I mean that is a commitment which we are working very hard on every day, and especially now here, we're going to be successful in the motto of this event, which is learn, experience, and be and get inspired. And we want to do this through more than 100 hours of technology lessons, which we are driving, more than 90 super cool demos over there in the Tech Lab. And I absolutely promise you that the NXP people who are operating those demos, who are explaining them, are super passionate and super committed to get into very engaged dialogue with all of you about what we are proud of in terms of technology advancements. We're going to have 3 thought leadership panels all across thought leadership in safe and secure connected mobility and digital security. And I must admit, I'm pretty proud on the fact that we do have partners across the industry with us. And the list of those partners and customers actually reads like the who is who of the next wave of technology. We do have partners from the emerging automotive industry here in the Silicon Valley. And I will never be complete with the names, but I'm really proud to name Rivian, Byton, SERES, Aurora, but also suppliers like Continental. And then the whole world of the emerging cloud edge ecosystem, where I'm super proud to have leaders with us like Microsoft, Amazon, Baidu, and you name them. And with that, I want to open what is really the idea of this event. It's about dialogue, it's about inspiring, learning from each other in order to collaboratively drive forward innovation. And when speaking about innovation, the tagline of NXP remains to be secure connections for a smarter world. The focus today is about how do we, together with you, our partners, enable the edge. If you wind back a little bit in time, then innovation came through waves. You all know them. Computers, PCs, cell phones, smartphones. And it becomes pretty apparent that this one next wave is the IoT enabled by machine learning. But it's not about this abstract connotation of Internet of Things. It is about the markets, about the verticals, where this is going to touch our lives, but increasingly also the infrastructure around us. So when the smartphone and the PC was pretty much tuned into people. Now it goes far beyond that. It goes into infrastructure, into mobility systems, into smart cities, and into smart manufacturing. And that leads to an incredible growth of connected edge devices. These are numbers from IHS. I have absolutely no idea if the forecast is true or not. The only message I want to bring with this is that there is very, very significant growth being forecasted. While the number of these nodes has doubled over the past 5 years, which is good growth, what is to come is much, much steeper. And I want to focus here and today, and that's also what you're going to find in the demos, in the tech lab, etc., on what NXP, together with its partners, is doing to drive that rapid evolution. The build-up from a technical perspective of each edge node, and that ranges from a relatively simplistic vacuum cleaner in your home all the way to an autonomous car, is always about the same conceptual building blocks. Everything is aware, so there is a sensing element. Everything is smart, so you need an enormous and growing amount of processing power. It is always connected, and it needs very efficient actuation. But the grease and the foundation for all of this to find trust with people, with society, are two more elements where NXP has a deep, deep heritage in terms of knowledge. The one of them is functional safety, which every robotics application is badly requiring. All these designs have to be according to functional safety requirements and standards. And the other one, and that holds true for everything that is connected, cybersecurity. We will never gain the trust of consumers, of any user, without perfect functional safety and perfect cybersecurity. And I'm pretty convinced and proud to say that there is probably no other semiconductor company which has such a rich and complete portfolio of IP, innovation power, and products across all of the 4 elements, plus functional safety and cybersecurity. Now, in today's session, we want to focus on 2 parts of this, which is the everything smart and the everything connected, enabled and surrounded, embraced by everything safe and secure. Now, I talked about enabling the edge. With our progress in low power, connected processing performance, a lot of applications can be dealt with completely at the edge. And there is a number of very obvious reasons to do this. One of them clearly is the avoidance of latency times. You don't have to get data forth and back all the time, but a lot can be done at the edge. But it's also about privacy. We try to avoid to send all the raw data to the cloud, but limit this to semantic data, which is a significant improvement when it comes to privacy protection and security. So it zooms down into edge processing. And here, undoubtedly, NXP has the most complete and broadest portfolio of processing cores, products, and solutions, from very low-end, very cost-efficient microcontrollers based on the Cortex-M cores, all the way up to embedded layerscape for digital networks. And right in the middle, where probably really at the moment the music is playing, our applications processors and crossover processors, which is a new category where NXP is the innovation leader to create and drive this category into the market. Now, obviously, hardware alone doesn't do it. The next significant step is embedded software, and here machine learning is gaining enormous traction. I did talk in the beginning that I'm humbled by the impact which we as a group of technology companies jointly can have on societal challenges. Now, let me give you a couple of examples here. I continue to find it shocking that across the globe, every minute, 140 people are killed in traffic every minute. 140 lives every minute killed in traffic. And it becomes more shocking when you know and realize that 95% of the errors which are leading to those accidents are human errors. And that is why we believe in applying technology to bring that rate significantly and drastically down. But also when you think about healthcare, it is proven by now that machine learning and artificial intelligence significantly improve the hit rate of screening methods for cancer, if it is for skin cancer or breast cancer. The hit rate of the machine in the meantime is better than that of any doctor on the planet. And this is what I mean when I speak about enriching our processing platforms by machine learning and AI. Now, we don't stop with the investment and commitment to hardware and embedded software. We actually believe it is also our obligation to help enabling the whole ecosystem from edge to cloud and from cloud to edge. Which is why we make sure we work with all the leading cloud service providers to port their models, their services on our hardware, including complete trained machine learning models running on our hardware. And you find here a pretty impressive list of partners. I will speak with a bit more detail in a couple of minutes with one of the partners, namely Microsoft, about a very, very exciting news announcement which we're going to do today in that particular space. Now, I talked about trust earlier. And trust comes to a large extent with the belief in the security of those solutions and of those services. And in that context, we are very proud as NXP to announce today our new brand, the Edgeverse portfolio platform. That is actually comprising the whole continuum of our processing cores and products, plus software and plus security. And the security comes under the sub-brand EdgeLock. And again, we are offering here a broad choice of different ranges of security levels, from software embedded security running on the microcontrollers, all the way up to standalone hardware-based secure elements. And you know that NXP is priding itself for having been a security leader for many years. We've been driving mobile payment, and we are world leader when it comes to electronic documents, which are based on hardware security, like electronic passports or electronic driver's licenses. All of this we offer now in one comprehensive platform with software, hardware cores, and matching levels of security. That was a short scratch on the everything smart. And we will come back to this in a couple of minutes. But before that, let me actually move to the other part, which is everything connected, which is another key trust element for NXP's leadership for the emerging IoT. Obviously, connectivity is the only way to make the edge, to get the edge alive. And we talk about different levels of connectivity, from super short range standards all the way up to wide area connectivity. For the last about 2 weeks, I would say, NXP can pride itself to have the broadest connectivity portfolio in the industry for the emerging IoT. We have been for many years inventor, standard setter, and volume supplier, absolutely market leader in a number of connectivity technologies, namely MIFARE, NFC, but also the DSRC, which is that standard which is going to be used to connect cars, to have them speak and listen one to another. But about 2 weeks ago, we went out, and I'm still very excited and thrilled by this, to announce that we are acquiring the wireless connectivity assets of Marvell, which is completing that portfolio underneath with an absolutely industry-leading product portfolio and IP portfolio in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth Bluetooth combos. And I believe, especially with the Wi-Fi 6 standard, the 11AX standard coming up, this will be a real breakthrough in our system solution offering for the IoT. Now you get it probably because the slide looks like it's not complete. There is one more, and that is ultra-wideband. We are also announcing through this event a range of products coming out for the ultra-wideband connectivity technology, which in our mind is a very powerful new secure connectivity technology, where the main differentiation to anything else you've seen so far is its ranging capabilities. Ultra-wideband measures the time of flight between objects. And through that time of flight measurement, which is very precise, actually a few centimeters, it allows for very powerful 2D and 3D localization of objects, people, and everything which is connected. And through that, we will be enabling a whole new world of use cases in the home, in the car, but also in industrial and retail environments. Just think about you walking through your house, through your home, and the door is opening automatically because it sees you, it connects to you, and it sees you approaching. The music is following you from connected audio devices from one room to the next, because your connected speakers will actually figure out that you are moving from the kitchen to the living room. So life becomes much more convenient, and all of that is paired and based with our highest standards of security. So a lot more to be discovered with this technology. And please see our demo and our experts in the Tech Lab who will talk to you and give you much more insight on this new technology. Now, let me get this all together. I talked about the building blocks for the emerging huge number of IoT nodes, about what we do to enable edge processing, from sensing over thinking, connecting to actuation, based on cybersecurity and functional safety. Now, here is a very busy slide. But we just couldn't make it more simple because we have such a rich foundation of technology and products across all of these building blocks. Be it our huge heritage in ASIL A to all the way down to ASIL D functional safety competence for the car. That heritage is built on decades of leadership in active and passive safety systems like airbags and ABS systems, which we are now applying to ADAS systems in the car. I talked about our heritage in cybersecurity. But it's also from the sensing side, which includes radar and vision processing for the car, face recognition, anomaly detection in edge processing, all the way to voice recognition. But also on the other side of the spectrum, if you go all the way to the actuation, we have a leading edge analog portfolio which provides fully matching safe power management, safe connectivity, high performance analog solutions, matching our processing solutions. Now, I'm very aware that the completeness of this portfolio was only achieved 11 days ago when we announced the acquisition of the Marvell connectivity assets. But here we go. I mean, that's been our strategy, and now we are complete. So I am very much looking forward to the session here, engaging with you, engaging with our customers and partners, how to get this portfolio alive. And when I speak about getting it alive, then it's about getting it into our target markets, namely automotive, industrial and IoT, mobile and communications infrastructure. And in the next minutes, we will learn that the lines between those four markets are blurring. So there is a lot of convergence between those, and this is exactly where our strong portfolio will play out very, very positively. 25 minutes ago, I spoke about my passion for collaboration. The way I think about this is that the challenges, but also the opportunities in this emerging IoT and its associated services, those challenges are enormous. And I don't believe that any company alone can conquer this. It will always be about collaboration between peers, between suppliers and customers, between a whole network of technology companies. And that's also why we have decided to have this keynote not just an NXP keynote, but actually invite thought leaders, industry leaders with me on stage, such that this becomes a much more complete picture on what we can do jointly. So through the next hour, I am really, really proud and excited to have Rodney Clark from Microsoft, Bill Loewenthal from ChargePoint, which is the leader in electric vehicle charging stations and networks, Yifan Tang from SERES, one of these super cool Silicon Valley-based startups for electric and autonomous vehicles. And last but not least, and you will understand why I make that comment, Todd McNeal, very close to my heart, here on stage. Now, Todd is not from the industry. Todd is from the Twain Harte Fire and Rescue Center, close to Yosemite. And I talked about societal challenges, and just rest with me for a couple of minutes, but Todd is going to tell you how he brings technology to life in something which I believe is a very, very noble task. But before getting there, I want to get started. And Rodney, I hardly can see you in this. You will experience the same light. I mean, it's not me. You will have the same problem in a minute. But Rodney, I ask you on stage, and you should hopefully share how you think about the wider ecosystem of cloud-to-edge services from a market leader's perspective, from Microsoft's perspective. Please join me. Hey, Rodney, here you go.
Today started out like most days do for me. Right leg in, left leg in, button up the shirt. I rushed off to get a cup of coffee this morning. I'm from Seattle, staying in downtown San Jose, and I know that there's a Starbucks not far from, well, it was because I delayed my cup of coffee and decided to get it here when I got to NXP standing in line and I'm having a conversation with one of the attendees, and unfortunately I didn't get his name, but the question after was, hey, what do you do? And I said, I work for Microsoft. And the person gave me this look like, Microsoft? Like, what are you doing here? And I realized at that moment that that may be the same question that all of you are asking in this room. What is Microsoft doing here? Why am I here? Well, I'm here because our customers are asking us to work together. They're telling us that we should be collaborating. They're saying NXP has a deep, rich tradition in security. Microsoft is also focused on security. They're saying NXP is focused on edge compute and edge capability. Microsoft is focused on edge capability. You're right, our customers are absolutely right. And when I think about edge specifically, the intelligent edge and the intelligent cloud is at the center of Microsoft's worldview, and it's at the center of our IoT strategy. Together, with Microsoft and NXP, we have an opportunity to do three things. We're going to accelerate how we partner with you and how you partner with each other. That's a big part of IoT. We're also going to accelerate the set of products and services that we're building and developing together. And then Microsoft and NXP have an opportunity to transform the industry with our respective focus on technology and R&D. The reason I get excited about these three things is because it aligns very well to a $5 billion commitment that Microsoft has made to the industry around IoT. In the last year, and we announced this a year ago, I say that we've made, and this is not a Microsoft statement, this is an ecosystem and industry statement. We've made 5 years of progress in just a year's time. We have over 1,000 Azure IoT certified devices, from the smallest microcontroller to the heaviest compute gateway. We recognize in IoT that it takes multiple partners to present a customer with a finished IoT solution. From edge to cloud, it takes ISVs, it takes IHVs, it takes silicon providers, it takes systems integrators. And we have over 10,000 partners in our ecosystem building capability on behalf of our customers in a number of industries. And then we have over 1,200 solutions that we are repeating. And this is a big part of the investment, to get it to the point where we can create a solution, repeat that, and sell that to multiple customers. That's the flywheel, and that was part of our investment. Another area that our investment supported was our comprehensive and consistent approach from edge to cloud. I'm proud at Microsoft every day when I talk about our push and our place in the industry in cloud. We are the most hyperscale cloud in the market. We're trusted by governments, by startups. We're deployed in 95% of Fortune 500 customers, and we have over 55 data centers worldwide. When we think about the work that's been done, it's starting obviously on a rich set of services in Azure, but then it gets to the simplicity of our SaaS and PaaS offerings, things like IoT Central, where you get to just manage your assets with ease without having to be a developer, a cloud architect or developer. And then in things like plug and play and services like plug and play, which allows any device of any type to connect to our cloud. This is all supported by the foundation that we have in Edge. We have close to 30 years of experience with Windows embedded and fixed purpose devices across industrial, across retail, across health, across smart cities and smart buildings. We go from the smallest microcontroller, and now with our recent acquisition of Express Logic, we're addressing RTOS all the way to Windows IoT, all the way to Azure Stack. So a very comprehensive set of solutions on Edge. And now with our great partnership with NXP, we take that wide range of edge to cloud services, and then we run that across the Edgeverse portfolio. Really, really great place for us to be. The seamless connectivity to Azure Cloud developers now have the opportunity to leverage services like machine learning, services like vision and voice, and services like telemetry. Our solutions are working across ultra-low power to i.MX 6, 7, and 8, running RTOS, running Linux, and running Windows. And I'm also proud to say that Azure is the first cloud platform to work on NXP's EdgeLock SC50. You can see some of this technology here as you're walking around and connecting with the various Microsoft personnel in the booth. The $5 billion also supported innovation. And this is important for us. It's not just the ecosystem, obviously critical. It's not just the set of platform and services, but it's the innovation. And here, we're a recognized leader in AI with the leading portfolio in AI solutions. We're also focused on security. And when I think about security, I immediately go to Azure Sphere. Azure Sphere represents decades of focus on cloud, hardware, and software solutions. And we announced a little close to a year ago this innovation that started in R&D and was brought to market that allowed the industry to have a conversation on secure connected microcontrollers. Azure Sphere is a microcontroller, it's an operating system, and it's a security service. When customers purchase and deploy Azure Sphere, Microsoft is providing 13 years of updates. This is based on feedback from our largest industrial customers. 13 years of updates on the operating system and the security service. Today, we have incredible momentum with Azure Sphere. We're deploying it in what we call brownfield devices. These are devices and solutions that are already deployed, and we're focused on providing module-type solutions. And then we're in greenfield, net new opportunities for us to integrate that right into the chip. And a great example of brownfield is we have Starbucks that's committed to Azure Sphere. I was talking about coffee earlier. I couldn't go to Starbucks, darn them, but again, glad that didn't work out. But Starbucks has a set of machines, the Mastrana machine. It is the machine that brews all their coffee. They send recipes to that machine. They used to use USB dongles, but now through the secure connection provided by Azure Sphere, they're able to do that and not worry about that information leaking. They're using this to remote monitor and maintain the devices. Again, over a secure connection. They estimated it's saving them hundreds of millions of dollars just by virtue of having this device, this module, attached to their Mastrana machines. And then we have partners like Eon in building management, in energy management, that are using and leveraging Azure Sphere built right into their devices. Again, allowing them to remotely monitor and manage and change energy settings and do things over a secure, connected solution and scenario. Azure Sphere is the reason that I'm here for the gentleman who asked earlier, and Azure Sphere is the opportunity that NXP and Microsoft have as we move forward. So with that, I'd like to bring Kurt back on the stage to share a little bit about the work that we're going to be doing from here. So Kurt, please join me.
Yeah, thanks, Rodney. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. Thanks for that. And indeed, we from NXP are super excited to build on a strong foundation of collaboration between Microsoft and NXP and go the next mile. The Azure Sphere is also, from our perspective, a super powerful service which you are providing into the market. And that's why we are announcing today that we will come out in cooperation and collaboration with Microsoft with a dedicated compute platform, edge compute platform, especially supporting the Azure Sphere security services. But it's more. I mean, you know we always have something more, right? Yeah. And the more is, we also believe there will be other things running on this. So we make sure that it will have the best possible graphics experience. So we have a next generation GPU in there, which we have developed and are developing especially for that purpose. We're going to make sure that the audio performance is as low power, as power efficient as ever possible. And these things are enabled by the FD-SOI silicon insulator technology, which we are using for this new device. So I really believe, Rodney, that this is a super strong foundation to make your success pervasive in all applications which you can only find. So very, very big thanks for giving us the opportunity. I do commit that we will deliver on the promise and will make you hyper successful with that new service.
Yeah, and thank you, Kurt. Just from Microsoft and on behalf of our company, we're super excited as well. We have a tremendous value prop in Azure Sphere and the 7 properties that it brings in. And our relationship and our partnership only enhances that. And so our customers and all of you here in the room that are also not only customers but developers and part of our ecosystem, we're really looking to help support you as you present and represent our solutions to customers.
Outstanding.
Excellent.
Now, Rodney, since this is so exciting, I mean, I can't help but I have to ask, so how come that you want to work with NXP? I mean, I know that we are cool, but how did you
You are cool, by the way, and in case no one knew it, they all know now, by the way. No, I mean, this is, when I say our customers have been asking for this, and I'll give a little bit of inside conversation that we've had at Microsoft. This is a relationship that we've been wanting for a number of years.
Yeah.
And we, I think a little over a year ago, finally got to a point where we're saying, hey, on things like Edgeverse and the i.MX portfolio, hey, how can we integrate things like Windows? We're great at that. And our two companies are even greater together. When we take our evolved and our own company's transformation and we look at things like Edge, it's a natural fit.
Yes.
And so for us, when we go into customers together, it just strengthens our value prop more and more, especially over the last year with Azure Sphere. It's a natural fit for us. Right. And it was after years, I was talking to one of our Microsoft employees out in the room as well. We're just excited to finally get together and to go to market together.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. And by that, by the way, I should also say thanks to all the teams who've done this. I mean, Rodney and I, we have the privilege now to be on stage, but the reality is there is large teams on both companies who are collaborating so close to make this work.
Absolutely.
I think that really fills me with a lot of pride.
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
Thanks so much, Gary. I really appreciate
Rodney,
it. Yeah.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thanks all of you. Thank you.
And leave me this. Now, crossing the border from Cloud Edge services only to another service, I would say, which facilitates, enables secure and connected mobility. And what I want to speak about is actually the company ChargePoint. And we have Bill here, Bill Loewenthal, the SVP of product at ChargePoint. I think, Bill, best is you tell the audience how you think about this, but I can't help myself saying in the beginning that you are kind of a crossover company, because you are the best example I have how the 4 vertical markets I spoke about earlier from a technology perspective are really converging, because you are enabling the electric vehicle in a way which pulls technology from our other pillars from our internal perspective. And that's why I find that a very enriching experience to listen to you, how you think about the future of ChargePoint and how NXP can help facilitate this. Bill, please join me on stage.
Thank you, Kurt.
Here we go.
So on behalf of all the fellow ChargePointers, we really thank NXP for having us here today. This is a very special moment in time and a very important one for us as humans on this planet. And Kurt kind of said it to begin with. The raw technology that this entire community enables, when we really think about the impact that we have, it's about societal impact. And I was speaking with some other folks earlier, and we were just talking about the challenges of society. And if you think about just kind of the mega issues that we all face, over the next 30 years, we're going from 7 billion people on the planet to 9 billion people. And there are fundamental problems that society is facing because of this. We can't feed these people, we can't house these people, and we can't move these people. And mobility and the electrification of mobility is a critical pillar to affect several of these aspects. Electrification begets autonomous. Autonomous begets the recapture, particularly in really high-density population cities, to recapture real estate and redistribute it in different ways. We're facing congestion, air quality, environmental climate change problems all the way throughout, and this transformation shift around transportation is critical. So when we look at the future of mobility, there's a lot of different driving aspects, and electrification is the core. There is not another industry that is being disrupted as much as transportation that any of us has ever lived through or probably will see in our lifetimes. And there is disruptions to business models, ownership versus services. There's the shared car model now. There is electrification of the drivetrain, which we'll hear a lot about. The notion now that we have an on-demand economy and everything's delivered to us, whether it's through the air or through the ground, it doesn't really matter. The move to renewables is critical, which is electricity is a man-made energy source. And so we can really change the climate through that. And then, of course, autonomy is on the horizon for big disruption in how the world moves. So if you're not familiar with how our landscape will change in the next 20 years, think about this. Whoops, let's go backwards. Half of the new car sales in 20 years from now will be electric. A third of the fleet out there will be electric. And when we think about the vehicles that are on our roads, we have to be inclusive of both the passenger cars, public transportation, the things that deliver goods and services to us or deliver people. It's being electrified everywhere. If you go down to ports, you'll see all the different port transportation systems being electrified. If you go to school buses to electric buses, you'll see city buses, those being electrified. So this is a pivotal, revolutionary change that is affecting how businesses have operated for half a century. It's disruptive to both business processes, societal issues, governmental issues, how different industries have to come together to work together. So what we're doing at ChargePoint is we're creating the new fueling network. And the notion that we are pursuing is all people and goods should move on electricity. And when we think about it, this is about whether you're riding, whether you're driving, or whether you are using a service that delivers you solutions for your home or for your work, or you're using a device or a vehicle for work purposes, this will all be electrified. So to create that, you really need a new fueling network. And a lot of things are not understood about how people actually use electric vehicles. So when we look at the new fueling network, we have to think about all the places that that vehicle travels that needs to be electrified. This is not a gas station model that we're accustomed to and have grown up around. This is really a different way of fueling, and I'll say a few more words about that in a minute. So today we have 65,000 ports around the world that one can charge at. And what's important here is those are public charging ports that could be at work, but we need a network, whether I'm charging at home, at work, at retail, or when I'm out of town, and that's what ChargePoint is building. If you're not familiar with us, we are a 11-year-old company in a 7-year-old industry. We've been pioneers in this field, and 70% of the drivers of electric vehicles have a ChargePoint account. A ChargePoint driver plugs in every 2 seconds. We're expansively expanding our ports, and we'll say more about that in a minute. And then we can translate that to direct environmental impact. What the portfolio looks like and what the business model looks like is we are a technology company. We build hardware and we build software. We build mobile applications. We're very much of a cloud company and a networking company. And this portfolio, as you can see, is expansive. It spans solutions that might work in my home, things that you might have already been using at retail or in your workplace, to things that are being built for rapid charging, be it en route or in fleet applications that are becoming very demanding. That's coupled with an intelligent cloud and capabilities that we need to enable drivers with. Let me say some more. So we have to make this transition to electric vehicles. How do we get drivers comfortable that it will fit in their life? So here's what we know, doing this for as long as we've been doing this. If you as a consumer have an electric vehicle charging station at your workplace or in this highly densified world at the apartment building you live in, your consideration to buy a vehicle, because you know it will fit in your life, you have a place to charge, will go way up. And that's really what's driving the adoption of vehicles. Does it fit in my life? Do I have a place to charge? Again, this is not a gas station model. What happens when you have home-based charging or workplace charging, that's 80% of my charging. So you see a lot of activities to kind of squelch range anxiety, but it's the wrong mindset. I'm always leaving with a full battery. People ask me how long it takes to charge. It takes 10 seconds. I pull in, I plug in, and I leave. And my car's there overnight or during the day at work. So I'm always leaving with a full battery. And so it's a different mindset that I have to go to the pump each week and fill it up from empty. And that's a really important mindset that this group needs to have as we make this transition. If you're not familiar with how electric vehicle charging stations work, it encompasses everything that Kurt just said about. This is an IoT device connected to the cloud. Drivers have registered for a ChargePoint app, or they may have an RFID card, and as you know, NXP has enabled RFID for years. And I authenticate to that station. It clears me in the cloud. And then it connects to the vehicle, authorize that user to connect to the vehicle, and then it's communicating to the vehicle as it's dispensing energy. As the status of that charge has changed, the user may be notified that that vehicle is now full, they can move their vehicle, and the next person can come in. So there's a lot of station to cloud communication, but as there's multiple stations in a parking lot, they're also communicating to minimize the cloud communication expenses. So security is paramount in this, user experience is paramount in this. This is the driver experience touching the rules that the station host has put in. This is also a misunderstood business model. So ChargePoint, I said, is a technology company. We sell the stations and the cloud services to different site hosts, as we call them. Could be a commercial real estate entity, could be a retailer, could be your workplace, could be where you live. And they set the prices of what they want to charge for energy. They set the rules. So we have a big policy engine in the sky so that if I'm a retailer, I can give preferential pricing to my loyalty card members, but different pricing to public members. I can change the time of use and the rates by hour if I like. If I'm a workplace, it can be free for my employees, but I could charge a fee to guests. So that's all controlled through a cloud to station communication process. So we're talking to vehicles. We're talking to the grid. We're talking to mobile drivers. And we're communication in the cloud. And that's what I think is a very important harmonious intersection between the skills and portfolio that NXP brings to what we do here at ChargePoint. What's important for ChargePoint is we're deploying stations in mass. And these stations live in the ground for decades or more. So when we were looking at how do we choose the right platform partner, there's some pretty clear requirements that we had. It has to be mission critical. People depend on this to pick up their kids or get to work. It has to have long duty cycles. These are in the ground for decades. It has to be in extreme temperatures. This is going from Alaska to Arizona. And then it has to be secure. Machine learning is an interesting capability that I'll talk more about with Kurt. And then it has to be scalable. We're doing things that go in your garage to go into high availability fleet demos or fleet depots. And so the scale of the portfolio and the different price points of the processors fit the portfolio that we have to bring to market. So again, this is really important that as an industry, we address this now. The other attraction for ChargePoint to NXP was frankly all of you. The community behind this, from the developer community to the code up on GitHub to the resources available in general. Very important for us to accelerate this. And so we have to make this transition fast. By 2025, we need to have 2.5 million ports in the ground, and we made this goal at the Global Climate Action Summit last year in San Francisco. And so we're in a rapid moment of scale, and NXP is the right partner for us to scale. So that's why we're so pleased to be here. Thank you very much.
Bill, we are pleased that you are here. You just gently avoided one point indeed. So I think you talked a lot about the need for security and connectivity, obviously, in your model. I didn't quite understand where machine learning actually plays a role for you. So what is it? What does it do for you?
It plays in several ways. So these stations live in very harsh economic environments, or environmental environments. And so we're looking at stations that live there for a long time. Could be very extreme temperature, but also extreme weather. Mm-hmm. So one good example is our display. We actually go to a gesture-controlled display backed by machine learning. So if you're in the cold climate of the Netherlands and you want to wear gloves when you're using that display, we can use gloves. If there's rain sheets coming down or snow coming down, our gesture-based detection is all machine learning-based. The other challenge that we have sometimes is maybe there's something blocking the station. So detection of occupancy or even knowing the user that's approaching is all machine learning based. And then kind of like Rodney said, in the sense of predictive analytics and remote monitoring and all those elements, that's another kind of area where we think machine learning is going to be really important when you have a scale like this of an installed base to support.
Very cool. So what I'm hearing is that really makes it much more consumer. The consumer experience is going to be more pleasant, right? So the machine learning is going to make sure that I'm interfacing with this in the easiest way possible.
Right. Reduce the friction as low as we can, make it as seamless as it is for the users, and that drives the adoption that we're all looking for.
Very good. Thank you very much,
Thank you so much.
Very impressive. Thank you. Now, Bill's ChargePoint obviously is a little bit pointless if there are no electric vehicles. So, and that's why I guess my next guest on stage, Yifan from SERES, is hopefully give us a lot of conviction, a lot of belief that the number of electric vehicles, and I think you said something of 50% in a couple of years, is really going to happen. Because, Yifan, you work for SERES, which is one of those startup shooting stars, I would actually say, to live the disruption. Because I couldn't agree more with what Bill was saying. This is probably the biggest ever disruption an industry is living through. And SERES is one of the companies to make it work. So Yifan, please join me on stage. Hey, good to see you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Keep going.
Good morning. Very cool stuff from NXP, Microsoft, and ChargePoint. Actually, those are technology areas that are very much relevant to us, SERES. First, let me show a video to actually explain some of the core technologies that we have been working on.
We believe our EV technology promises a better, safer, more thrilling future. Guided by our commitment to accelerating the growth of the EV industry, we developed our own battery systems to rival industry leaders in safety, charging speed, and energy density. And we offer a range of motor configurations for more flexible vehicle platforms. Our electronic differentials are all-wheel drive technology, deliver ultra-responsive torque vectoring for enhanced performance and stability. Our advanced algorithms optimize motor control. While our machine learning technology makes our intelligent driving one of the most advanced. Every vehicle in our portfolio features our comprehensive sensor suite that dynamically anticipates and responds to any situation. A protective autonomy technology that actively keeps people and roads safer while maintaining data security. and a human-machine interface that adapts to your driving style and evolves to anticipate your needs. All built on a high-performance chassis that combines innovative hardware and software suites. We are creating a family of more intelligent EVs through innovative technologies that fulfill our promise to you.
Thank you. I'm glad to have this opportunity to be here to share what we do as SERES. We are developing the technology very rapidly, iterating our technologies, and putting our products into the market. As Kurt was saying, in a fast pace, this is changing very fast. The industry landscape is changing very fast. The market for electric vehicle actually is there. So we are taking this opportunity and also taking the advantage of the technologies that have been maturing and coming up in many different areas and really put them into our products to the market in a very rapid way. First, let me talk about what SERES actually is, the company, talk about the company. We are based in the Silicon Valley. We automotive technology startup company, started in 2016, not too long ago. We have offices in Detroit, Japan, and Germany. We have a factory here in USA, in Indiana. And also together with our partners and investors in China, we built a powertrain factory and electric vehicle factory in China. So that is what SERES is all about. We are developing many technologies in-house, but also we collaborate with many of our partners and suppliers like NXP. So here is a picture of our vehicles testing this past March, actually in China, in Tibet. It's a fleet of our new SL5 vehicles. So very beautiful sky and very clean air, no pollution, definitely. I want to keep it that way. So now the automotive industry is going through a sea of change, as Bill from the ChargePoint talked about earlier. There's a lot of opportunity, but also a lot of challenge to actually popularize electric vehicle. First, I believe the cost of electric vehicles must be comparable to conventional vehicles without subsidies. Second, I believe the electric vehicles should be very convenient to use, shouldn't have range anxiety, and also shouldn't totally depend on the availability of charging network, since they are simply not available in most parts of the world. So another opportunity for ChargePoint, obviously, but in places like Tibet and most of the world, actually there isn't a charging network. So range anxiety and also dependency of charging network is what preventing electric vehicles to be taking over the automobile market, I think, in the near future. So that's a second challenge, I believe. The third, I think the users demand the electric vehicles to be safe, reliable, and also actually expecting the performance. The luxuries for such things like fast acceleration and overdrive capability, etc., in fact, are becoming something expected out of electric vehicles, at least a selling point for electric vehicles. So these are the three challenges, also say opportunities for electric vehicles. And there must be multiple solutions to this challenge. So we, SERES, are actually developing not just one type of electric vehicles. So we are releasing to market this year 2 different versions of SL5. The pure electric vehicle that has a very attractive performance as well as a pretty competitive driving range, and also a range extension version of our SL5 that has an onboard power generator to actually charge the battery packs. So these are two versions of F-35 are going into production this year. We started taking pre-orders in the Shanghai Auto Show this past April, and delivering to customers Q4 this year. So the electrification is not the only things that's happening in automotive industry, obviously. We are actually at a very interesting time that the idea of a car actually is changing. So the car is becoming more intelligent, more connected to the cloud, becomes smarter. So, so this convergence is inevitable, and in fact, it is accelerating at the moment. There are opportunities to apply many new technologies, as I mentioned earlier, in automotive or in mobility industry, ranging anywhere from machine learning, deep learning AI, to VR, and cutting-edge wireless communications, actually, especially, I believe, 5G communications, and other core technologies applications in mobility. We also are developing the battery technologies, which actually is very also significant areas for development. We are developing in-house the solid-state batteries in our lab for the future applications. So this is actually an area that merges a lot of different core technology areas. And also this convergence requires collaborations with different companies, different industries. So we collaborate with actually other car companies, for example, supplying our advanced powertrains for NIO cars. And globally, we collaborate with our suppliers and our partners in many areas. One the special partner actually is NXP. NXP now has I believe, is a leader in many related areas that are relevant to us. As a technology company founded in Silicon Valley, we developed many of our own key technologies, our hardware and software in-house. Starting from semiconductor chips, we develop motor controller, battery management systems, vehicle controllers, and secure gateway, and so on. NXP and us are both emphasizing functional safety and data security, so we have a lot of synergies in the collaborations. Here are some of the hardware that we develop in-house. From the left is a 3-in-1 drive unit that combines a motor, gearbox, and power electronics inverter, and then the dual motor drive unit, and the engine coupled with a power generator for our range extension vehicles. And then in the middle, some examples of the electronics, like vehicle controller and the gateway that we develop, and the battery packs with BMS inside, and the HMI that we develop. So all of these, say, components and systems have software and a lot of intelligence inside, and are connected in the car. Also, they are connected to the cloud. And so, putting all these components that we develop together, we we actually try to tackle the challenge I mentioned earlier, developing platform solutions, putting those components to develop highly efficient electric vehicle platforms. And these platforms actually can be adapted to different type of vehicles, from SUV, crossover, which is the first of our product, SF5, to the sedans, and to trucks. So this is a very flexible chassis powertrain, intelligent powertrain platform. And also the protective autonomy platform, the autonomous driving solution that we have been working on, emphasizing the safety and especially safety, including providing the active protections for for our vehicles. And so we are actively developing full stack of software and testing this software on the road, quickly iterating our solutions. And the cloud connectivity platform, the advanced communications technologies coming to the vehicle extremely fast-paced, including the 5Gs. So, for example, the OTA is definitely necessary, and over-the-air update combining so many different ECUs, even they are from different suppliers, is extremely challenging. We developed many of the key ECUs in-house with control of our softwares. So using this cloud connectivity platform to allow a secure update of the powertrain ECUs, as well as the IVI and the ADAS systems through the cloud connectivity platform. So I want to conclude with some pictures of a couple of our factories. And also on the left is actually our headquarters here, not too far away from this convention center in Santa Clara. So we are based in Silicon Valley, but we are pretty global. And this is the car that we are releasing to China market first, but globally later, this SF5. With this, I want to thank Kurt and NXP for this opportunity to share what we do.
I have to thank you, Yifan, because I mean, I don't want to hide the fact that I'm pretty passionate about cars. So I can't wait to see the SF5 on the road, to experience it. Now, one thing which came to my mind, you clearly emphasized you're a startup company. I think you said you were founded in 2016, so yes. It's like 3 years yes. old. So amazing what level of disruption you not only do to the car industry, but also through the value chain by what you take in-house versus what others do with suppliers. That's really cool. Now, how come that within this short lifetime, you changed your name already? I remember you being SF Motors just a short while ago. Now, SERES sounds to me a bit like Greek mythology or something. I mean, what is that?
It's actually nothing word. SERES actually in the old times meant silk. So actually Silk Road many centuries ago, yes. I believe is actually a term to describe the connections between East and West, the yes. advanced civilization yes. at that time. Yes. So we choose the word SERES to actually symbolize our intention, our vision to become a global company and yeah. then connect East and West. And of course, SF Motors was a term that we came up since we have a Silicon Valley root, a team of yeah. us here basically from Silicon Valley. So the company was started to develop many cool technologies and at Silicon Valley. So that's the name SF Motors, and then changed to SERES in order to go globally as a branding name. And we started only around Shanghai Auto Show in this yeah. April to go
so it's really new.
Yes.
Very thoughtful, very good. I mean, we can learn from that. It took us 60 years to find 2 names. So, well done. Thank you, Yifan. Very good. Super. Now, speaking about automotive, as most of you probably know, NXP is indeed the largest semiconductor supplier to the global automotive industry. And innovation in the fields of electrification, ADAS, and autonomy are very, very close to our heart. And that brings me right back to what I did say in the beginning about the societal impact. And both Bill and Yifan talked about the positive promise of electrification for the mobility industry. The way how we think about this is really what we call a vision zero. We want to contribute as much as we can together with the industry partners to drive towards zero emissions, which is the ChargePoint and SERES promise, to drive towards zero accidents. I talked about the 140 people killed every minute globally. But there is one more, and I was actually positively surprised how much people were in time this morning, given your traffic situation here. 0 congestion. And making best use of the time you spend in the car. I think statistics say typically people spend about 80 minutes per day in a car, and I guess many do spend much more time. And a lot of that time is being spent in a very unproductive way in congestion. And we believe that intelligent traffic management can do and can come a long way to help that situation. And this is NXP's commitment as the #1 semiconductor company in the auto industry to drive towards safe and secure mobility. Now, Yifan, coming back to SERES, I'm personally really thrilled and excited by the number of companies coming up here in the Silicon Valley, just turning the auto industry upside down. We have one other very, very strong partner here, which is NIO. Actually, a year ago, we launched together with NIO their first SUV, and I think out here in front of the showroom is that car, and you can all touch and see it, which is yet another startup company which is following a similar vision. So I'm deeply impressed by the ecosystem of partners, of innovation pioneers here in the Silicon Valley, driving this faster than at any other place on the planet. And I'm proud about the fact that NXP is a very integral part of that ecosystem. Now, I spoke about the noble contribution to societal challenges. And here it was about emissions, accidents, and congestion. I promised you a couple of minutes ago that we want to go one step beyond industry today. And I'm very proud to have Todd McNeal, and Todd, please join me on stage. Todd with us here, who is the chief of the Twain Harte Fire and Rescue Center. Todd, come up. And what Todd is doing and what Todd is driving is actually, in his field, making use and leveraging what technology is offering to, how I understand, do your job better than you could do without that technology. And, but I guess I'm not in a great position to explain that. You are much better. So Todd, why don't you tell us a little bit
Absolutely.
what technology you use and how that benefits people?
Absolutely. I couldn't be more honored and humbled to be here. And I think the words this morning, although there are many similarities, the strongest messaging that I'm hearing right now is we're at a position of change, convergence. And although public safety and the provision of those services to the community is a rather small sliver, it is still a very impactful sliver in our daily lives. And I am honored and humbled to be asked to come here to help in that brainstorming, that sharing of technology, that ideas, and do it from the vantage point from an end user perspective. Yes. And to provide that insight for development teams that are setting the groundwork for future technologies that are immersed into our lives of what it's going to take to make the emergency services provision faster, more efficient, and safer. We are seeing in the fire service in general a very similar, as illustrated throughout the presentations this morning, an acceleration, a rate of change that is atypical from years past. And I personally feel very humbled to be in a position to help affect a rate of change that is in a vertical component for the fire service. And so you think about, through time, tradition is a large part of the fire service, and we're slow to adopt on certain things. A great mentor and friend of mine who is unfortunately passed, Chief Alan Brunacini, said there are two things fire service hates most: the way things are and change. right? And it's so true that we are now at a point at which, as illustrated this morning, the technology converging with our daily applications is a point that we have to embrace change.
Yeah.
The fire service has to do this.
Yes.
Lives depend on it. Our own safety depends on it. And if I can help in any small way be a part of that change agent, giving insight to development of specific products that make that job easier. The challenges we face are numerous, and we have, especially in the state of California, this, as evidenced the last couple of years, this expanding problem of the wildland urban interface. We also have a change that has occurred over time in the structural realm. And one of the terms that I know is going to be imperative for these technologies to work that are being developed is connectivity. And how do we deploy connectivity out into not only our civilian experience, rendering aid, how do we get notification? If we could have technology in the end user of the civilian, I need help and give me an exact location, that makes our response more efficient. When we look at efficiency on the fire ground, be it a structure fire or a large-scale wildland fire, as an incident commander, I want to know where everybody is. I want to know where all the personnel assigned to those threatening atmospheres
So
are.
how do you do that?
How do we do that?
How do
right
you do
now,
it better?
it is.
So
it is
what change do you have?
right. What we have to get is an embracement of all these platforms working simultaneously. I'm not advocating that we get away from the old school piece of paper, white, dry erase markers, and writing on windshields and using radios. That's absolutely going to be part of the equation. But if we can make some of that accountability, what we're talking about for the fire service as accountability of all the resources, if we can automate some of that and take that loading off the incident commanders, they can be more efficient in their decision making.
Right.
And that's what we're talking. We're talking about decision support technology, situational awareness technology, and connectivity with sensors on board, vehicles, personnel. I will know a lot better what the overall operating picture looks like.
Right. So I understand UAVs and drones are specific tools you're using?
Absolutely. Yet another asset that we can put into the public safety community to improve our efficiency and response. The cool thing, the amazing thing about technology, and why I'm so humbled to be as a part of this gathering, is it levels the playing field. You don't have to, in this day and with what we have available, you don't have to be a large fire department or large public safety provider. You, as like in Twain Harte, a very small community, can embrace the technology and implement it immediately. So yes, UAV is an asset we have added to our toolbox, and it provides very potent three basic tenets or pillars: situational awareness at the response, overwatch. For example, I respond to an incident in a command vehicle. I can quickly deploy a UAV asset for that visual image over. I use it in training documentation and efficiency improvement. When we do our drills, we document it from a perspective that you don't see, and then I use it in prevention as well.
Outstanding.
Taking imagery and scanning and modeling for vegetation health and where we target our prevention programs.
Yeah. I actually understood that when Notre Dame in Paris in Europe was burning the other day, they also used drones to actually observe how the fire is progressing and what to best do about it. So some people at least said that the fact that they could safeguard in the end the roof before it really tumbled down was thanks to the observation, just exactly as you say, which they did achieve through drones.
Yes.
So like a few years ago, without drones, there would have been no way to do it in the same way, which is very actually pointed and quick. I think that's the real trick.
Absolute perfect example of that real-time visual situational awareness data streaming back to incident commanders to make that efficient and safe decision making. It's decision support, situational awareness. Yeah,
outstanding.
absolutely.
Todd, thank you
Hey,
very
thank
much.
you. It's
I
a
must
pleasure.
say I'm humbled because I think you just set a great example of personal leadership. I mean, it seems to be that you are just driven to get the best for your department. So you are pioneering new technology into a field which is very established, and I think that's all it takes, personal initiative to do this.
Appreciate
so thanks
the
very much
opportunity.
for
And I
telling
look
us
forward
about
to
it.
seeing
Very
the
noble,
rest of the
very
show.
cool.
Thank you.
Stay with me, stay with me.
Yeah, okay.
At this stage, I would just briefly also like to ask again Rodney and Bill and Yifan with me on stage. I was told they want to take a photo of us. So you have, for the last time, the fun to look into the lights and not see anything. So are you ready? This is all about speed and determination, right? So. Thank you. So once again, Rodney, thanks very much. Thanks, Yifan. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Bill. Great. Well, and there is a last little chapter here, and it's almost like a nice bridge when we talked about drones with Bill, with Todd. But I want to bring it back to the beginning of this keynote, which was a little video about the role of innovation. And I think innovation is, with all respect to machine learning and whatever we have discussed, it is driven by human brains. And it's about connecting people, it's about connecting brains, but it's also to bring up new talent. And in that context, NXP is announcing today that we are launching and setting out a new coding competition, where we are asking, and I guess this will also go into the universities big time, to actually compete on coding for drones. In a way, the drone is the ultimate edge node. It is autonomous, it is electric, and it does a lot of good stuff, and it has to constantly learn. So machine learning for the steering system of a drone is very, very important and very powerful. There will be more news in the press release which we do about this, but I just wanted to make sure everybody hears it, because it's close to my heart to bring up graduates and young people to get all of their knowledge and all of their brain power into what can do so great things like Todd was describing to us. And at this point, I also want to thank you all for your patience over the last 90 minutes. I know that's a long time on a Wednesday morning, but I hope that we could start as NXP. I hope we could start to deliver on the promise for this event, which again is learn, experience, and be inspired. But I also realize that the true experience is only going to be after this keynote, when you get into the tech lab and when you get into dialogue with all the other engineers and other industry and thought leaders who are here at our event. So at this stage, I want to thank everybody who has helped to prepare, engage, and set up this event from NXP and from our partners, also from our sponsors. I want to thank again my partners in crime from the industry and from the fire department here on stage, which again, and that's a very personal remark, it makes me really feel thrilled about what we do. When I see all of the services and the products and the disruption which is building on our product and our technology, then I can only say, wow, this is really, really strong. Very, very impressive. So thanks very much for that. And I want to conclude the session with a short video about the Hoover Games, which is this coding competition, and then let you get your coffee and let you get into the tech lab and dialogue. Thank you very much. Thank you. Call for action. Thank you very much. Thank you.